Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Just wanted to make a really quick tutorial here to demonstrate a pretty straightforward, easy way to put your Firebase storage content behind a CDN or a content delivery network. This method that I'm going to show you is not the most ideal method for long-term delivery. This is best used for testing while you're building and small user case testing, maybe even for your MVP. But for a live production setting, you would want to use a API server to direct your uploads to be stored behind a CDN rather than using this origin directory, which again is not the best way to do this. If you've spent any time using Firebase Storage, then you would know that one, it becomes very costly. The more stuff that you store there, the longer that you keep it, and of course, trying to deliver content from your Firebase Storage is costly in terms of bandwidth usage, but it's also extremely slow. Firebase Storage does not allow you to do a whole lot with the content that's stored there. You can set up regional delivery, but that regional delivery is isolated to that region, really. So if you set your region to like the US region, if somebody was trying to access your content from the other side of the world, the delivery of that content would be super slow because the content is being delivered from the US region. So you cannot set up multi-region delivery methods inside of Firebase Storage. In addition to that, Firebase Storage does not have a whole lot of optimization for your content. You can't compress anything inside of Firebase Storage. You can't use HLS or Dash delivery, so you can't chunk your data. HLS and Dash delivers data in a chunking format. That way you save bandwidth. So the way Firebase Storage works is it delivers the entire file in one download. So if somebody's watching a video from your Firebase Storage, regardless of whether they watch 1 second, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, or the entire video, Firebase Storage is going to deliver the entire video as a download to that user's device for playback. So it uses a lot more bandwidth in that regard. And so it can take longer for the video to be delivered, and it obviously costs more. But if you deliver your content back to the app in a different format from MP4, which is typically what you would be delivering it as from Firebase, if you use like HLS or Dash, it's going to chunk that data, and so it'll deliver the video in parts. That way you don't have to deliver the entire video to the user's device, so that if the user only watches a small amount of a single video, you're not wasting bandwidth in that regard, and therefore you're saving money. But on top of that, putting your content behind a CDN that has globally cached nodes, that way the content is cached closest to the receiving user, your content will be delivered much faster. So if you're doing a multimedia app, whether it's videos or photos or whatever like that, you definitely want to have a CDN in front of your content. It's pretty much a required necessity at this point. And Firebase Storage is not extremely versed in content delivery. It's really best for static storage and things like that, and something that doesn't require a whole lot of speed to push it back to your user. So the method I'm going to show you here today is a simple way to get started with it. It's a good way for testing, kind of get a feel for how your CDN is going to behave in conjunction with Firebase Storage. But the better method is to completely do away with Firebase Storage. Don't even use it. It's garbage. It's expensive. I would not suggest it at all. And go directly to your CDN, which involves the best method involves API server delivery, which is a highly more complex method of doing things, and requires some back-end know-how of how to manage that and set it up and make sure that everything works correctly. At the end of this video, I will tell you where you can find more information about using the more complex method and how to set that up, as I do have a tutorial series for that. So, but for the time being, let's take a look at the easiest way to get started with it. The service, the CDN service that I'm going to be using is called Bunny CDN. That's Bunny CDN. And the web address for Bunny is bunny.net. And just real quick heads up, I'm not getting any kickbacks from Bunny for using them. I just chose this service because it's one of the easiest ones to get started with. But they're not sponsoring this or anything like that. And quite frankly, I would not suggest using bunny.net for more complex setups. If you're planning on doing some large publication, some sort of multimedia app like TikTok, YouTube, things like that, you would want to use a more robust CDN for that service. But as far as just kind of getting started with CDNs and seeing how they work in low-level test groups and MVPs, things like that, then bunny.net is definitely the way to go, and it's also extremely affordable. So it would be my suggestion for kind of getting started in this field. So anyway, once you set up your bunny.net account, you should get a 14 or 30-day free trial. I can't remember exactly how long it is, but it's a good trial period to kind of figure out how things work. And then once you have to pay, getting into a paid account, you actually kind of you preload credits, so you just buy however many credits you want, like $5, $10, $20, whatever you want to load on there, and then your CDN usage just kind of eats out of that credit allotment. All right, so once you have your account set up with bunny.net, you'll have this menu panel over here, a bunch of different stuff that you can work with. Stream and storage would be things that we'd be looking at if we were using an API server, so we're not going to worry about that. The only thing we're going to worry about today is the CDN menu option. So you just tap on that, and you go to CDN, so let's go ahead and go there. And then up here at the top, add pull zone, just tap that, and that's where we're going to get started from. So the first thing you'd want to do is give your pull zone a name, whatever you want it to be called, and then it would be .b-cdn.net. So I'm just going to call this just call it test media stream. All right, and then down here as your origin type, we're not going to be using a storage zone. If we're using a storage zone, then we'd want to set that up here, but that's not what we're going to be doing because we're not actually uploading anything to bunny.net. We're just going to be bouncing our content through bunny.net. So we're actually going to use an origin URL. To obtain your origin URL, it's pretty straightforward. You'd want to go to your Firebase Storage. It's just a test account that I've got here, Firebase Storage. And I've just got a single image in here. I don't have anything else. You know, if you upload anything from your FlutterFlow app into your Firebase Storage, it's going to create a bucket for you, and it's going to create a users folder. Inside that users folder will be a list of folders, however many users you have that are uploading. Each folder will be named the user's UID. Inside each folder will be an uploads folder, and then inside of that folder will be your user's uploads. So that's how that would be structured in that event. But really, for this purpose, none of that stuff is really that relevant. The best way to grab your Firebase Storage origin URL is if you have something already in here, which I have this photo, would be just to go to the link for that photo. Open this up. And then what I want to grab from this link, I want to start over here at the HTTPS and go all the way over to right there. So let me copy that and put it back into my bunny over here so you can see it better. All right, so that's what I copied from the link. I stopped at the O. Don't grab the / past that point. just stop right here at the O. So that way you have firebasestorage.google.apis.com/, and then you've got your actual bucket name here /O. So that's your origin. That's what the CDN is going to be pointed towards and looking at directly. Okay. Your host header, optional, you can leave that blank. Don't worry about that. Not a big deal. Your tier, standard tier, this is better for small files, mainly images, small images, ad delivery, things like that, maybe even website acceleration if you're doing a web-based app. For this tutorial, we're actually going to be dealing with video content, so I'm going to use high volume tier because that would be better suited for video delivery. And you can see that the delivery cost is, 0.005 cents per gigabyte, so it's actually very affordable. So once you have your name set, your origin URL set that you grabbed from your Firebase bucket, you can go ahead and add the pull zone. You can take a look at that stuff if you want to, but I'm actually just going to skip that. It doesn't have any relevance to me. All right. Okay, so now we've got that set up. We've got our host name here. You can set a custom host name. So if you have your own URL, your own web address that you want to set it as, you can set that in here. Obviously, you'd have to make some adjustments to your DNS inside your domain host. So if you're wanting to set that up, just follow the instructions from your domain of how to set up your DNS settings. But we're going to leave it as this. I'm not actually going to set a custom host name here. You can force SSL if you want to, so I'll just leave that on because I do want to have that, forcing that through. If you go down here, this is again our origin settings, so we've already got our origin set, don't need to do anything here, leaving that blank. You can play around with all this stuff if you want to. I'm actually just going to leave it all just the way it is. I'm not going to change anything there. I'm not going to change anything to our routing filters or anything like that. Safe hop. This is if you get a failed attempt to retrieve something, you can try safe hop to retrieve it again. You can kind of set up how many times it'll do that retry, and as well as your connection response timeouts. So you can play with all that if you want to. I'm not going to change anything there for now. You can set up smart caching if you want to. It decides whether it's a file type that needs to be cached, and it automates that process for you. These are the type of things that I would probably turn on if I were you and let it kind of do its thing on its own, but for this purpose, leave it turned off. And let's see, all this other stuff, you can, again, set it up as you want to. You do want to have this turned on if you're optimizing this CDN for video delivery, which we are. This is mainly for video delivery, so I'm going to turn that on, or leave it turned on, I should say. And these are all just things that you can set if you want to. But again, for this tutorial, we're not going to set a whole lot in here. I'm just kind of showing you how to get your content behind this CDN. The more complex tutorial will cover all these settings and what you should do with those. So anyway, pretty much let's leave this. We do want to make sure, let's see here. We want to make sure that's turned off for now. Let's go. Not worry about that. I just want to make sure that we're not going to be blocking anything here. Traffic manager, not worried about that. Not worried about any of that either. Your optimizer is mainly for images. So if you're doing images behind a CDN, you probably want to adjust some of that. And I think everything is pretty much set up the way we want to. You can set up your rate limits here if you want to, so you could actually set up your how many connections can be concurrent, and the amount of time it takes and things like that. So you can set up all that stuff. But I think we're good, pretty much good to go here. All right, so what we want to do then, we've got our CDN set up and we've got it pointed at our Firebase storage bucket. But I need to go to in here. I need to go to my my actual FlutterFlow project, and we want to do. Let's see here. There's actually a couple of things we need to set up. I don't think I have it in here. Maybe I do. yeah, I do. Sweet. So I'll include this code as a link in the description of this video that you can grab. But anyway, what this is, it's a custom function, and what it's going to do. So let me jump over here just to my main thing here. Just got some random stuff going on in here, so you can ignore most of that. Let me add a button, and just scoot that button down here, and just relabel it. All right. So for my upload button, I'm going to proceed with pretty much the same process that I always do for uploading any kind of content to Firebase. So I'll add an action, and I'll upload data, and I'll upload media, and I'm going to upload to Firebase. And that's not really relevant. I am going to turn video on because that's our main thing that we're looking at here. Actually, I'll just turn this to gallery. Okay. So we're uploading to Firebase, so that's what we want then. So you should know that when you upload to Firebase, you know, this upload process lets you choose media from your gallery, and it goes ahead and pushes it up to your Firebase storage and creates a URL for that item. So what we'd want to do then is add another action here. And let's say that we were creating like a video post or something like that. So let's go to our backend, Firestore, create document. Let's see, what do we got in here that I can use? So we do have videos. So I'm going to choose videos. That's from my videos collection. And I'm not going to worry about too many fields here. I'm just going to set, we're just going to set the video URL field, okay? So traditionally, if you're only uploading to Firebase, what you would set as your video URL field, you do from variable, and you go to widget state, and you would set it as your uploaded file URL, and that would link to the object that you just uploaded to your Firebase storage. But we don't want to do that. We actually want to put it behind the CDN. So instead of doing it that way, close that out. Instead of doing uploaded file URL, what we're going to do is we're actually going to combine text first of all. All right. And in our combined text, we need to go back to our, let's see here, our bunny CDN here. And we need to grab our host name that we created for this pool zone for the CDN. So go ahead and grab your host name here and copy it. And then go back here and then type in https:// and paste that in there like that. And then do another /. Okay, so go ahead and put your CDN URL in here, and then add another layer of text here, and do it as a variable. We're going to go down here, and we're going to select custom functions, and from there we're going to select our extract path from URL, which is that function we were just looking at in the custom functions, and I'll show you that in just a second. So go ahead and tap on that one, and then for your value, your URL value, go to your variable, and this is where we're going to grab our URL that we just uploaded to Firebase. So go to widget state and then uploaded file URL. All right, and confirm. And so what that's going to do then, go ahead and confirm that. So when it creates that videos document and inputs that video URL, the video URL will be behind our CDN at this point instead of grabbing it from our Firebase storage. All right. And what that custom function does, jump back over here to that real quick, is that it parses out data. Okay, so what you would want to do, so it's kind of interesting that that's like that. I didn't do that. I don't know why it looks like that. But what you would want to do here in this string is you'd want to put essentially your origin endpoint, that same endpoint that we inputted into the CDN, except you will include that last / there. So what we could do then is let's go over here to our Firebase Storage. Got this photo opened up here, and we'd want to grab from HTTPS all the way over to, let's see here, the / past the O. Copy that, and then you could highlight this here and paste it in there. Okay, so now we've got our origin URL in here that we want this function to run. And what this function should do, if it's working correctly, which it should be, is that it'll extract everything past this /. It'll take everything out of there. It'll remove this part. You don't want that. It'll just take everything past that /, and that way you can apply it as a variable behind your CDN that we had just set up when we created that videos document. So let me save that and check it for errors real quick. And let's test it and just make sure it's working correctly. So let me actually grab this. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the entire URL for it, because that's what it's going to be looking at from the upload. And let me drop that in there like that. And so again, if this thing is working correctly, it should be. If it's not, I may have to make a couple adjustments to the code to make sure it works out right. But it should take all of this and delete it and just give us everything past it. Okay, so it is working. That's great. So it grabbed everything past this /, and that would include folders and everything too. So if you have a users folder and stuff like that, it'll still delete this part. Oh, I'm sorry, that part, and it'll take everything past it, which is all of this stuff. So you can see it grabbed all of that. And so when you run that function over here inside your code, inside your FlutterFlow setup, it'll extract everything past that / and it'll put it on the other side of the / for your CDN. So I'm not going to do a test run on all of that. We know that's working, but I'll kind of show you up in a browser how that works. So let me first go to here, grab this. Let's go back over here. I'm going to do it right here. Get off the screen. And let's do HTTPS. And then paste that. So that's our CDN address there. And then our function would have extracted everything past the O. Where's that at? Right here. So we grab everything past that, and it would plug it in right there. Okay. So if I press enter, you can see that this is now being delivered behind our CDN. So you can see that the address up here is still the test media stream CDN URL, and then it's grabbed our content here, and now it's delivering it behind that CDN. So essentially what happens is whenever the first time that this URL is run and grabs that content there, it initiates that cache, but every time that it's run after that, it is now cached at a node point that's closest to my location. So that's how that works. So it's very, very straightforward, very, very simple to set up. So that again, that's an easy way to make that happen. Let's see if it's serving. So yeah, so it's already picking up some requests here. So you can see that it's serving. It served 2 requests, which I hit on that cache, that CDN URL twice. So you can see that it's delivering it, and the more times that it's delivered, the better the caching will get. You see that these are 2 uncached requests, so it hasn't actually delivered any cached requests yet, but that's because we've only run it twice. As the content is requested more and more, it'll start caching it correctly, and it'll start optimizing the delivery of it. So it kind of takes care of all of that for you. All right, so that's how we set that up. Again, it's super simple to set that up, and you can put your media content behind that, whether it's video or images or anything like that. So it's a good way to get started with it and kind of get your content moving a little faster. But again, in a more complex tutorial series that I am doing, we'll actually go over in depth of how to set up an API relay server that can take your content in. It can do some media manipulation against an FFmpeg server, where you can do some different compressions or overlays or transcoding with audio. You could do audio overlays, you could do audio replacements. So we're going to go over all that in that series, how to do that server side. We'll also cover how to compress videos inside your app using code that's specific to the user's device, so that we don't double compress, because iOS devices actually already compress before upload. And then we'll go over the API endpoints and everything of how to send that content over to your CDN and then stream it back, whether you stream it back as an MP4, HLS, or Dash. So we'll definitely go over all that in that series. Now, how do you access that series? You need to head over to the Technisys Discord server. The link is in the description of this video of how to get there. And then sign up for the subscription service to be able to access those more complex tutorials and how to do those things with the API servers, stuff like that. Right now, because the subscription service is just getting started, the first 25 individuals to sign up for it, you'll get your first week free to kind of familiarize yourself with stuff and get things set up correctly. And then, I'm sorry, got a little distracted. And then there's also the monthly price is discounted right now, but seats are limited on that. So that kind of while we're going through the process of getting everything organized, set up, and let users try things out, the monthly subscription price will be discounted. And anybody that signs up for that discounted price will be grandfathered in. When the price does increase, your price won't increase so long as you keep your monthly subscription up. You'll still pay the same price that you did when you signed up in these early phases. So if you want to check out more complex tutorials covering these CDNs, doing API servers, things like that, and how to transcode your content against an FFmpeg, as well as setting up a WebRTC server for one-to-one or one-to-many video streaming, video calls, end-to-end encrypted chats using public-private key pairs, as well as some other encrypted and encryption keys, encryption languages, I should say. We'll be covering all of that as well. And that subscription will get you access to exclusive tutorials that won't be posted here to YouTube, won't be posted anywhere. You'll only be able to access them through that service. You'll also get access to all of my pre-made codes that I have developed over time. Some of these codes I've made available publicly, but most of them will be within that subscription service, including the TikTok video player, which a lot of people have wanted access to. You will be able to get it there, and it's a very complex code. I'll go ahead and tell you, it took me a long time to write that and get it just right, but it does a lot of cool stuff. It optimizes your video delivery, pre-builds and post-builds things. Your video players keeps certain states alive while keeping others dormant, but it optimizes the life cycle of your FlutterFlow app, which FlutterFlow does not optimize that well inherently. You kind of have to set that up yourself. It also does a few things with FF update app state, where you can update your app state from within the code and pass variables outside of your custom widget, including setting up view history. So that's a new one that I added in for a user to be able to keep track of videos that they viewed and be able to refer back to them in another part of the app. So that's something newly added to that code. But anyway, you'll get access to that code. You'll get access to all the other custom codes that I've written and have not made publicly available, including the global multi-collection search with the open stream, user tagging, user text extraction, and a bunch of other stuff. So you may want to check that out. And then lastly, a part of that subscription service, you'll also get access to a personal private IDE on a server that I've set up, and what that'll give you access to. You'll be able to remote into that, and you'll have access to some various tools that I use on a regular basis for developing codes and developing APIs and things like that. And you'll receive a pretty complex e-learning environment for learning how to code in Python primarily, but also Node.js and a few others, for setting up your own API servers and redirects. And inside that personal environment, you'll be able to actually implement those codes and implement those best practices and connect your app to them in an easy and understandable way, along with the custom Flutter code that you'll need to connect those things together, so that you can begin testing. So basically what you'll be able to do is take the lessons learned and apply them inside of your personal environment there, and then test your app in real time to actually play around with that FFmpeg transcoding, or encrypted chats, or WebRTC, or whatever. So all of that's provided, again, within that subscription service, and we still got some seats open for the first week free, and then of course we do have seats open beyond that for the cheaper price, and during this first phase of the subscription service. So if you want to check that out, go to the Discord link in the description of this video. You can check it out there, and hope to see you over there and get involved with that and help support the community, and help kind of grow this entire thing. Hopefully we can get more going. So, all right, that's it. Appreciate it. Hope everybody has a great day, and hopefully this little tutorial helps you out. All right, take care.